All right, I'm rolling, and 3, 2, 1.
Thank you for speaking with us today. What is your name, and can you please spell it?
Jolanda Kintzer, Jolanda, Kintzer, Kintzer.
And what was your name at birth, and can you spell that?
Jolana Reismanova, Jolana, Jolana, Reismanova, Reism, Manova, with an accent on the A at the end, Ransmanova.
Where were you born?
I was born in Soloshnica, Czechoslovakia.
And when were you born?
19, and 19 oh and 1900 whatever.
How old are you today?
I am a 90, 94, 95.
What was your father's name?
Armin Reisman, Armin Reisman, Reisman.
Where was he born?
I think he was born in, I don't really know. He could have been born outside Soloshnica, but I think is somewhere like that.
Had his family lived there for many generations in that area?
And I don't think so. Not in many generations. But somehow they live there.
What work did he do?
He was a restaurateur, and he was also in the army in the First World War. And
what did he do in the army?
He was a sergeant in the army. He was a sergeant in the army.
What was your mother's name?
Fanny Reisman, Fanny Grünmandl. Fanny, Fany, Grünmandl, Grunmandl.
Where was she born?
New York City.
How long had her family been in America?
Well, I don't know, but they were in America a while.
What work did she do?
She didn't do any work except when she married, and she married my father. Then she was a restaurateur.
How did your parents meet if your mother was in America and your father was in Europe?
Well, my father, what happened was my grandfather, my grandfather asked my mother what what was her what was his her what was the thing what was her his her what was her her name her the thing, but then my father said, oh, my father said that they were all they were they were American. They were American, and and my grandfather passed away, and he wanted to go back to Europe, and so they went back to Europe, and then they went back to Europe, and he was he was happy to be back in Europe. I can't hear you.
Did you have any brothers or sisters?
I had a sister, Magda, Magda.
She older or younger?
Younger, 2 years younger.
What languages were spoken in your home?
German, Slovak, and some Hungarian. I mean, that was the language.
Were you raised in Solosnica?
Yes, I was raised, Soloshnica. That's okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Yes, I was raised in Soloshnica. And until my father got a restaurant, and then we moved to the city.
Which city?
Bratislava.
And when was that? How old were you?
I was about 2 years old when I became a Slovak citizen, a Slovak citizen.
When you were a little girl, what religious traditions did your family observe?
Jewish.
Did you observe holidays?
Yes, we did. We did.
Did you have a favorite holiday?
Well, Hanukkah.
What were relationships like between the Jewish community and the Christian community before World War II?
My father got along with the non-Jewish people, and that's how he got along. He had non-Jewish friends. He had a guy who was a a a, a, a friend of his who was non-Jewish, and he was good friends with him.
Do you remember any anti-Semitism before the war started?
There was always some anti-Semitism.
Can you give me an example of what you mean?
I can't give you an example because our restaurant was in a non-Jewish area, so therefore it was like that.
What are some of your earliest childhood memories?
Well, the childhood memories were we had a nanny, and she was very nice, always were very nice to us, and so on. So those were our memories. And one day, my sister was running with a stick in her hand, and she got it in her mouth, and she was bleeding. So when the Fräulein, what was her name? Anyway, she got her to a doctor, and she was okay, and was okay.
Do you have memories of starting school?
I remember, yes, starting school. My sister, my sister had long blonde hair, and I said, let's play barber, and I put her in a chair, and I cut it. Well, it was quite a thing, quite a thing.
What can you tell us about Czechoslovakia being divided up before the war started?
Before the war, it was easy. It was nice. We had I went my my father and his brother were friends, and and I went to school in the same school that my cousin went to, and my father my father was happy to have me in the Jewish school.
What do you remember about when the Germans came to your region?
Okay, now the Germans were, our restaurant was right on the Danube River, and and the And I remember Hitler coming with his car and standing up and giving the salute, and then uh, and that was and I was in the upper level of the restaurant, and I saw Hitler, and I saw him going and with giving the salute, and they were. It was right across the ocean, not the ocean, the river, the river.
Do you have any other memories of that time?
Yes. Memories. My I remember the remembrance of the of Hitler coming, and so we were so then my father, I mean, I saw Hitler, and then we went in downstairs from the downstairs, and then the guys they came, they swam across the river, and they came to our restaurant and say, Hitler doesn't like Jews. You better get out of here. So my father listened to them, and he and he sold the restaurant, and my mother, and at the same time my mother was American because she was born in America, so she was born in America, and so my father went and went to Prague with my mother, and asked if she was American. She said, "Sure, she's American. She was born in America." So they gave her the right. And he Monday morning, the first customer at the at the at the thing was my father, and he said he wants to see his wife's certificate. So they say, we can't give you your certificate. It's not around. So he went in his pocket and he took out some money, and he said, I want to have a certificate. I want to see her thing. So he said, yes, Mr. Reisman. So then he took it. So he took the thing, and he looked at it, and he looked at the papers, and he saw that my mother was that she voted in the Czechoslovakian elections. So he tore out the paper, and he stuck it out in his pocket, and he looked through the papers, and for every thing that he saw, he took it out. He took out the paper, and he put it in his pocket. When he got home, he burned them. He burned the papers, and but anyway, so they said, did you find what you wanted? He says, yes, I found what I wanted. So then he burned the papers, and he scrumbled them up, and he burned the papers.
Were those papers showing American citizenship or European citizenship?
It showed European, that she voted in elections.
Do you remember the name of the restaurant that your parents had?
Reisman, Reismann, Reisman.
Other than selling the restaurant, what other plans did your parents make to try and get out?
Well, first of all, my mother was an American citizen, and she was considered an American citizen. And on New Year's Eve, my mother took the train to France and went to France, and took the train to France, and took the boat, and then my aunt and uncle took her in and led her and took her in. And then later on, she had other jobs.
So your mother, is that when she left Europe, or
when she left Europe? New Year's Eve, she left Europe.
What year?
1930. 39, 30, 38. Well, 1939.
Did she travel alone, or did you and your...
She traveled alone, because my father was not allowed to go. I mean, he was Czechoslovakian, and he couldn't go, and we were young. We were 5 years. 6 years old, 7 years old, like that. So we could not go.
So who took care of you?
My father. Now, so we went to Prague, because Prague had and my father started to learn English with an English teacher, and he became friendly with the secretary to the city manager. And so he said, I just want to let my children, let my children speak to the city manager. We will not harm him. We will not do any harm. We want to, because he found out that the thing was a big, he had a big office. So she said, okay, I'm going to the bathroom. You can go, and in that door goes to the city manager, to the city's office. So he said, thank you very much. So he went, he opened up the door, and it was a big room, and my sister and I, and he had taught us what to say. And we said, Mr. Counsel, be so kind and let us to our mother. And so he says, yes, you know. And so he says, so we went out, and that's it. And so that was it. And the my sister had shoes that were worn, and my father waited until it was evening. So he waited until 6 o'clock till the people got to, and then he went and he had her shoes fixed, and then we went back home. So like that. And we in Prague, we were in a hotel, then we were in another hotel, and then we went into a home. We were in a home that we were, because my father thought it was, I mean, it was a thing. And then every morning, early in the morning, we had to get up, because we wanted to my father wanted to make sure that we get shoe, shoe. I mean, early in the early in the morning. So.
Was your father's military service helpful?
Oh, so this is what happened. My father, first of all, was a good friends with a guy whom he befriended, and the guy who befriended him, and he befriended, and he said, I will help you, but you have to be away all the night, because if they see you walking, they're going to arrest you. So my father said, okay. So my father said to me, because I was the older one, you're going to be alone, and you're going to be alone, and you're going to have to stay alone, and you have to be alone, and I will be all alone. And here is Tante Yulchi, that was his sister, his older sister. Tante Yulchi's telephone. If I don't come back by noon, you call her up and she'll come and get you, and you'll. So we said okay. Of course, I didn't sleep that night. So my father was awake. He was away, and so then about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, all of a sudden I felt I heard the door, so I was so happy that I that he came back. So and then we started to go to go to the to the we started to go to the to start to go to Hamburg, because we were with the Hamburg line. So, but they wouldn't let us in the inside the inside the thing, only on the outside. So we were on the platform, and we could see inside, but we could not go inside. So my father, the guy said, Mr. Reisman, I knew a Reisman, a Sergeant Reisman. He says, that's me. So he says, really? He says, yes. He says, well, I remember there was a time in the First World War, in the war, and it was raining, and anyway, it was raining, and there were young guys that were coming through, and so your father said, well, we'll wake up we'll wake up the person, and we're going to. I'm trying to hurry this up, and we will, and we will give them something to eat, because they were traveling all night. So my father, so he woke up the chef, the chef, and the thing, and he woke up, and he woke up the guys, and my father, he gave the gave the chef the thing, they gave them everything, and they worked, and they gave them everything, and they they gave them to eat, and so on and so on. And they said, so the guy said, I was one of the people who was given food. And he says, don't worry. He says, we'll get you out of here. So when the other guy came, the guy says, he says, I have I don't know. I'm gonna ask him some more questions. Why don't you go have dinner, and then we'll talk. So he sent the other guy to dinner, and my father told the guy. He says, okay, you are a Reisman, Sergeant Reisman. He says, yes, I am Sergeant Reisman. So he when the guy came, he says, this guy doesn't know anything, and in a half an hour he's gonna go to Hamburg. So let him go already. So he says, okay. So the guy said, okay, and my father got us on the train, and we went to Hamburg. We didn't eat, but we didn't even didn't say anything until we got to Hamburg, and we went to Hamburg, and in Hamburg we came to the station, and my father took a taxi, and he says, we want to go to the we want to go we have we have tickets to go to the on the thing. So we went to the thing, and I said, oh boy, Hamburg has the best food. And but we didn't go out. We didn't leave. We didn't leave the thing, the room, and then after we helped the people in the hotel, but we didn't go out. We didn't go out, and we one day we woke up and there was a ship in front of us, and my father said, well, that's the ship we're going to go on, but we're not going to go on the ship yet. We're going to wait. And so we waited. We had breakfast, and we had our coats with our fur. We had the fur thing, and we waited by the window, and we waited, and we waited, and we waited. And then at 10 and finally it was time to go. So then my father said, now we go. So we went, and we went through the thing, through the out, and we went, and we went, and but a lady, evidently she was I don't know what her story was. She was yelling and yelling, and they were dragging her from the there from from the boat. So I don't know, but we went, and we went up on the gangplank, and we went down, three flights, and then my father did like this, and we didn't talk. And we went, and when we went, and we closed the door. He locked the door, not speaking, and he locked the door, and then it started moving, the coat, and my father, kept saying quiet, and we went, and until we, I don't know when, till we went, till we were all ready, and then we went up on the gangplank, on the blank, and we were quiet, and we were already all the way out in the ocean. So we had something to eat, and then we went back to the thing, and we didn't talk, and we didn't talk, and we went till it started, till we started to talk, till we were quiet, and we like that, and then so then my mother, through the evidently through the evidently through the steps. Oh, the boat was like this, and then we were at the very edge, and we were quiet. We didn't talk. We were quiet, and then my mother. Then we went. We went to then we went. We heard America, and we saw the Statue of Liberty, and my father took two flags, and he gave it, one to my sister, one to me, and he stood in the middle, and my mother was able to see us, and so we sat. We got out on steps, and thank God, we made it.
Why do you think your father wanted you to be quiet?
Not to not to show vacation. I mean, not to not to be noisy, not to not to bring any attention to us.
So it was just your family that came to America? What about the rest of your family?
My aunt, the one who was supposed to get us, her husband was killed. Her husband was, he was a wonderful guy, a wonderful, wonderful man, and he was killed. And but her daughter, daughter, she she became a couple. She was a couple.
What's a capo?
A couple is somebody whom the Germans trusted, so to speak. And she saved her mother. She saved her mother. Her mother was up on a shelf, and she saved her mother.
Are you saying that she worked for the Germans?
I don't know if she worked for the Germans, but she she was something. She was something. I don't know what. My cousin, her son, my son, was able to the Germans knew that he was a very good mechanic, and they kept him as a mechanic. And then later on he went to Israel, and he had a garage.
Did anybody else in your family, your father's family or whatever, get out of Europe?
My aunt, the one. Oh, yes, there was there was the somebody. My aunt, the one who was, and she got oh yes, the Europe, Europe, they he she she asked he asked and my aunt said, we're going to get out of here, and she got him and her husband and her two boys out of Europe, and she got out of Europe, and the American people were very nice. They for two days the Americans said they took care of the two Americans, took care of them, and then my other brother cousin was by he of they 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 uh, they they the other brother was easy. Other brother took they took care, and then after that, and I met the second brother. I met the people. They came. They came out of the out. They came after the war, and they came and we met them. They especially wanted to meet me. I don't know why. So and we met them. We met them.
Do you remember the name of your aunt, and where did she go when she left Europe?
Tante Hermin, 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 and the Americans were very nice that they took them in.
How did your parents support the family when you came to America?
My mother worked for the mayor of the Long Beach, and it's a very tragic story. The guy who was the guy who was the guy who was he was a very nice man, the mayor, and my mother helped him in the morning, at night. I mean, in the morning, to with his coat on, and the guy who was the mayor, who was the guy, he wanted he was he wanted he wanted it was a big story, and he wanted to he wanted to kill the mayor, and he did, and he killed him. But he killed the mayor, and my father, the mayor gave my father a job to water the water the plants there, and the mayor was killed, and but and he died. The mayor was killed.
Where was this? Where in the United
Long
States?
Beach, New York.
Thank
Long
you.
Beach, New York. It was in the papers. It was
When did you come to the United States?
39.
You were here during the Holocaust. How closely did you follow what was happening to the Jews in Nazi-occupied Europe?
We followed it. We had the German paper, the German Jewish paper, the Aufbau. See, and and the Long Beach boardwalk. They had curtains so that you could not see over there. You could not see beyond the curtain.
Were you able to keep in touch at all with family or friends left behind in Europe?
No. I mean, my uncle died. I mean, he was killed. And no.
What can you tell us about your time in America during the war years?
Well, in America, my mother worked in the restaurant. No, my father died. My father died
When?
in 1940, something like that. And my mother played cards. She was a good card player, and she played cards with the women. And the two women owned. They asked their husbands if he would give them a job, give her a job, and he did. And they were very nice guys. And my mother was and she worked there in the store. And my father, before he died, he got a job for a friend who was a baker, and they liked him very much.
When did you realize what the Nazis had done to the Jews in Europe? When did you appreciate how many were killed?
We knew all the time.
Who among your relatives survived? Among your relatives or your friends, were there many survivors?
Well, those who were in America survived. Those who were not survived did not.
What kind of education were you able to get in the United States?
Oh,
Take your time.
I got a scholarship. And the teacher, one of the teachers, he saw to it that I got a scholarship. I don't know how come I got a scholarship, but I did. And then my friends who went, who were twins, they got they went up to they had they had they had some scholarship. No, I mean, their people had a what do you call it? They were able to get you know, they were able to get to have to have to have to get school. I mean, school.
Where did you get a scholarship to? Where did you go to school?
Packard College, Packard, Packard.
How do you think
Thank you.
You're welcome. What's that?
Yeah.
We're good.
How do you think what?
How do you think the Holocaust and everything that you went through to get out of Europe, how do you think it impacted your life?
A lot. I mean, my uncle died, my aunt died, others died. A lot, a lot.
What are your thoughts and your reactions to October 7th and what happened in Israel?
October 7th. What's October 7th?
What happened in Israel lately?
Oh, I have two daughters in Israel. And and it's a terrible thing. Terrible thing. That it's that it's it's a terrible thing. It and it 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 it's very difficult for the Jewish people that it's being Israel that
Where in Israel are your daughters?
one is in Jerusalem, and the other one is outside Jerusalem.
Is there anything we did not talk about that you would like to mention before we conclude the interview?
Well, it's very difficult. It's difficult. And so many people died. So many people were killed. We were very lucky to get out. We were very lucky to get out.
What message do you have for people in the future who watch your interview? What would you like them to know and to understand?
It's a very difficult thing. It's a difficult. It's difficult. My uncle, my cousin, who's in Israel now. I mean, who he survived because he knew he knew the way. He knew the way.
Was he the mechanic?
Pardon me?
Was he the mechanic?
Yes, the mechanic, because he was a mechanic. He survived. They needed him. They needed him. And he survived. And then he went to he survived, and he opened up a garage in Tel Aviv. So that's it.
I thank you very much for speaking with us today, and this will now conclude the interview.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you, sir, and thank you.
Okay, that's a cut.
Yep, she doesn't have any photos, so we're done.
Okay, cutting.
Thank you.